Hi guys, welcome to the Lunge and Lift podcast. Today we're joined with a very special guest, our friend and colleague Gustavo Tostes,
Yay!
of WIT. Here he is. Thanks Gus for coming on. Appreciate the time. Let's kick off for anyone who might not know who you are. Who are you, and how did you end up as the head coach of WIT?
Yep. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me, guys. It's a pleasure. You're not just really nice guys, but we are friends. And for me, it's any time is a good time to have a nice catch up with you guys. But yeah, so just for those who don't know me yet, or for maybe those who know me, but they don't know how I managed to end up where I am today. Basically, I've been involved in the fitness industry, let's say like that, for now maybe about 12 years, working as a trainer, instructor. I did attend to sport and science uni, so I've really been into fitness like officially since then, before just playing sports, and we can discuss that later. But I have always been into fitness, so ever since I got into uni, I got into gyms, first as a PT. And that was how I came to London about 9 years ago, like I was studying English back then. And I was working as a PT for fitness first in Carnaby Street. That was how I kind of got into the market in London, in the UK. And then as soon as my visa expired and I had to go back to Brazil, a friend of mine introduced me to a mutual friend, not mutual friend, like we became mutual friends, but like a friend of hers, which he was going to open a CrossFit gym in Rio, and I was going back to Rio, and I had no idea what that CrossFit thing was. And then I just started researching about it, and then I started to add kind of like CrossFit movements to my bodybuilding, like routine. So let's say if it was shoulder, I would then go for handstand push-ups on that day and all that kind of thing. Yeah, and then I moved, and then to Rio, we opened this gym. This gym happened to be like something phenomenal, like massive in the country. We came in where like there was no many gyms, and these guys that I partnered with, they all one of them came from a reality show, like a really famous reality show in Brazil. So he was a kind of like a celebrity. And the other guy as well, he used to do like modeling stuff. So we started to get into that Facebook videos, how to do things before anyone else in South America. How to do a butterfly, how to do that, how to do this. And the guys, they're really good with camera. And I kind of picked up on the way with them. Them was like a super experienced marketing guy. He worked for really big companies. Anyway, but then after a while, like the gym was massive, but I always wanted to come back to the UK. I knew how big the market was here, and I knew how poor also it was in terms of people really committed. If you both work in the PT, markets, and like some people, they do like a quick course and they think, that's it. And they just really worried about the money. They don't really care about the experience, about the journey, about treating people, like dealing with people's health, which is something that can affect people's lives forever and ever, like either for good or for bad. So I knew how poor it was based on the size of it, and having my background, having my, my uni, my studies, the science behind it. I have always been really confident that I could come and do exactly what we did in Brazil with that gym, but like my way, rather than our way. And because I knew the market, I knew how we did there. I wanted to have something that I created, really. And I had a friend who had investors and everything, so I wrote down like a business plan, like a 32 pages business plan, which I'll never forget. I still have it, which was for the downtown fit. And I gave up. Well, not gave up, because I still have shares, and I still go with meet with the guys and discuss fitness, the future of fitness, if they have problems, and we just we exchange cards, that football where you have the pictures of the players.
Yeah.
So they give me some information, I give some, and we just discuss, and it's really productive every time. But yeah, and then I just came and tried to open my own gym, and you guys pretty much met me back then when I was trying to open this downtown fit. A lot of people know me through that. But then it happened that I just couldn't get the place. I just couldn't find a place because my module was always, the style was always going to be like a CrossFit high-end studio. Because always we know about the CrossFit methodology. It is the best training methodology for results, community, for everything. But then the CrossFit old school style, rusty barbells, in an arch, and that really, they don't even clean the floor sometimes. Back then, nowadays we have the level, and then everyone is really watching that. But back then, no one was like doing it. And then I wanted to create something in central London, like right in the middle of where shit happens, where everyone would feel like, whoa, I want to come, I want to get involved, I want to do these things that people talk about, but I still offer that customer service, like a Barry's Bootcamp customer service, like a changing room, nice, sexy, place, lights and everything. And that was my business plan from the very beginning. Bring the methodology with the customer service. So the CrossFit methodology with the boutique studios customer service, and just bring them together. But I was fighting against, like supermarkets, banks, big, like brands, like for those high ceiling, no pillars, big spaces in central London, like who would rather this funny guy with a funny mustache with, like some investors no one really knows about. And I just never really won any fight for a location. But then in the way, I happened to meet these two guys, amazing guys from WIT, which is Dan and Sam. And we obviously, we got really involved with events, and then I started to do like photo shoots for WIT and getting involved in events. And then they got to understand a bit more about, my project. And then they had this idea to bring a full experience to WIT, like having a gym and everything. And then they had this space, but they had no one to run it, basically. And they had spoken to some people, but it kind of didn't really work out. And then they saw our struggle to find a place, and then they came to us, like me and some Norman back then, and said, "Hey guys, do you fancy, just kind of bringing your project into WIT? And the only difference is that you're gonna have to call it WIT, but you can run it, you can do however you want to do it, whatever you need to, and you're gonna have our full support, and obviously trying to follow the WIT's kind of line of work and methodology." And then I said, I didn't even think twice. The main reason, because I was already tired of looking. I just wanted to coach. I wanted to get that idea out, that passion out there, and just work with people. But also, I mean, I had a really easy choice to make, didn't I?
Yeah.
I had the picture of having a startup in central London, paying crazy rent, and just pretty much, imagine the situation: you with a rope on your neck, walking onto a slack line. Situation, right? Boom, but you cannot. And that was the situation. Or coming to WIT, a really well-established, massive brands, that got a massive team behind, funding and a massive network. And then I thought, for about half of a second, I said yes. Definitely. And ever since I became more and more WIT, because I mean, everyone that gets into WIT just fall in love because of the passion that everyone there has for the brand, for fitness, and everyone is just so nice. And the boys are really good to work with. They have always supported me and my wife, and now my little daughter Malu. And ever since, we have been attacking this market, trying to establish ourselves, not just as a gym, or not as a gym at all, but as a brand, as someone that understand what we're doing. We understand about footwear, we understand about apparel, we understand about training. I mean, we want to be a hub, where people, one-stop shop for anything related to fitness. And I think, thanks God, things have worked out that we are achieving that, let's say, with obviously the help of amazing people such as yourselves. And that is our main point. We are a how you say, collaborative company and business. And that's how we see us growing, like just by collaborating and to get involving with people. That's a really short kind of story about how I used to get into WIT, and pretty much a little bit about my background. Yeah. And yeah, that's it.
When Gus, when it comes to like your obviously transition from bodybuilding to CrossFit, that seems to be a lot of people's transition. I've heard it on other podcasts and stuff like that. They call it like the fitness menopause. And it's like when you realize just standing in front of like a mirror, doing some curls, it feels good. But you know there's more to movement, to life, to just feeling good than just looking good in the mirror. So what has been like some of your favorite moments while you've been competing in, because I know you've competed in CrossFit and stuff like that. So what has been some of your like highlights when it comes to the training side of things?
Well, I think everything started with that transition, which was crazy, mind-blowing. Not just because of the whole fitness side of it and the competitive side of it, which I come from a really competitive background. I used to play football in a high level for a teenager. So City made some noise and my line of thinking. But so yeah, not just for that competitive side, but understanding the science. Imagine, bro, you study for 4 years at uni, like these corpus and all the physiology and like all the everything, the science of fitness, of how the body works in rest and in movement, and everything that I knew back then went against CrossFit. Like you need 48 hours of rest. That's how you simulate your body. That's how you grow. That's how its performance works, and this and that. And out of the blue, this thing comes up, and it's literally I just work, just like work every day and crack on and just give your best every day and butterfly and this and that. So like, and back then there was no much of a science behind, like obviously nowadays performance. The sport has grown. And with it, the coaches and the people behind it. And now we understand that now it is pretty much going back to that science that I knew back from uni, about like isolating all the accessory work and the rest and all the performance talking. Now it makes sense. But back then, there was no like science behind it. It was like, you do it, trust it, it will. And we will trust it and do it. But yeah, so it didn't really take me much for that transition because, again, I had a really competitive background. So as soon as I could use my body again to compete and have fun, look good, and work with it, like make money, that was my thing. I said, man, that's it. I found it. And because of that, because I have always been really into fitness, the body awareness, you know how to move. I learned everything really quickly. And I had the endurance side of the football backing me as well. And CrossFit, everyone knows it is an endurance sport. Doesn't matter how heavy you lift or how beautiful your muscle up is. It's all about how many reps can you do with that barbell, how many muscle ups can you do, and in that time, and how quick can you recover, right? So proper endurance sport. And so I always done pretty well for the time that I've been competing or training for. And yeah, so the sport in Brazil was growing really quickly. And because we were these guys in Brazil who was doing like, how to do this, how to do that, seminars and all that, there was a big expectations whenever we went to competition. So that kind of like, that made me slow down, like getting into bigger competitions because I was a bit scared of the expectations and everything. But then as soon as I did, again, I didn't have big numbers. I didn't have like neither on weights on gymnastics, but just because I understood a bit more my body, because I've been using my body since I was 8 years old in football, like I've been training twice a day and doing everything. So I just understood a bit better how to compete. And you guys train with me all the time. We have been training together for, like 3 years. Like I can still beat Rob in a deadlift workout, though he's mastering deadlift. And you know what I mean? Like I can still beat Ash in a pull-up workout, even though he can do pull-ups with no arms. Because you know, like, I'm not being cocky, but it's just, again, like it is an endurance sport and strategy. You need to understand the sport. Being a good athlete doesn't mean that you have to be the best in everything or the best athlete. To be a good athlete, you just need to be a good at competing, understand your body, understand the task that you have to accomplish. So I had really good experiences, although I did have a really bad one with a swimming event once, and that was the game change for me to give up competing, because I made it to the nationals in Brazil, and I qualified, like we had like regionals, and I won my regional, my region. I beat Pablo Chalfun, which is the guy who went to the games. He was back then pretty much one of the best guys in Brazil already, and I beat the, you know, like the top 5 guys were in my region, because it was like in Rio, and like around Rio, so all the top guys were there, and I beat them all. And all based on strategy, just, you know, being smart, the way how I competed. So I came into the nationals really confident that I was gonna do really well. And I went like 3 months of my life. I gave up my life to train for that. You know, like I had a wife, and we had just got married back then. And, you know, like I was coaching, I had a gym to run, and I just gave up everything. I spent a lot of money with, you know, like any type of supplement, vitamins you can possibly imagine, anything that would help you, like with the machines, you know, to help you recover quicker. I did it all. And then I came to that nationals, and I was swimming. I was practicing swim, but I mean, I never really been a proper swimmer. I can swim. Like if you see me swimming, you're gonna give me a few cues. Oh, you can do that and that to improve. But I can swim, but not for performance. Not like swim 50 meters, come out, do pistols, or sprint on a assault bike and then go back to 50 meters. Bro, that's not swimming. And then, so that was the first event. And because I was so keen to do well, I just gave 100, 200% in that event. Not to die, not even to do well. I came like third to last. And that was just because the other 2 guys, they didn't finish because they were dying. They had to be taken away. They were like drowning. And of 40 people, you know, it's like the games. And in a 3 days competition. So, bro, like literally I came out of the pool having like spasms. My whole body was cramping. My whole body was cramping. Injection and bro, like 4 people massaging and like it was crazy. I never felt that in my entire life. And because of that, the rest of the other 3 events of the day, I just could not perform because for obvious reasons, I was literally gone. And then I finished the day like in 35th. And then the rest of the weekend was just me trying to, you know, to catch up. And then I think I finished 20th or 16th or something like that. But, you know, like because of that one event. And it was really like, you know what, I'm not that young anymore. And it's really expensive, you know, like I'm not making money out of it. I'm giving up, you know, what I love doing. Where I wasn't playing football, I wasn't going to the beach and trying to surf because I never really knew, but I could not do things that I wanted just to do that. And then I realized that being an athlete, a professional athlete, was not for me anymore, or it never really did, but I was trying to at least. And then I just decided that but I knew that I could do it really well. So I thought, okay, so I'm going to just do the best I can as a coach and just use that to inspire my members and play around and, you know, compete as a team. And I just trained really hard because I liked to train hard, but I didn't like the pressure of the competition because no one had any, you know, like rights to pressure me, you know, like I'm old, I'm just a coach. I would pressure me. So like, why people create these expectations just because I do well this and that? And I was really annoyed with that because I wouldn't have the freedom just to go for fun because I always had the pressure. And so that kind of like put me off. And then ever since, I have always just been training really hard for a few reasons, because that helps me to keep fit, to inspire my members. It helps me to program, because if I'm training hard, you know, like I know exactly how I need to program for someone just behind me or someone just in front of me in terms of level of training. and that was pretty much it until the lockdown.
So before we get into the lockdown thing, I think it's quite a good segue. Just want to touch on some of the things you said there, and it's we've actually in previous podcasts mentioned you and me training, say, and like how good you are with your body and your awareness, and like say we're doing a assault bike workout with pull-ups. I think we use that as an example, and how even though I'll get off the assault bike first and I could probably do the first set of pull-ups first or something like that, it might be a 5-round workout. I'll be ahead of you for 4 rounds, and then just suddenly the wall hits, bang, and then there you are, still Mr. Consistent coming in. And for, as you said, being an endurance sport, it's not about your top end numbers. It's about how consistent you can be across the board. And then you mentioned about the training side, and literally one of our podcasts we done recently was about the perfect athlete, and like what does it look like when it comes to training. And a lot of people don't realize the sacrifice, even especially when it's something like CrossFit, how it is so diverse. You have to be good in so many different domains. It shows the commitment that you have to give. And you said you had to give up pretty much, say, 3 months of your life to compete, and then it all goes wrong on game day because it's not based off one event. So it just shows that not even something that was in your control, but that's obviously when it comes to being an athlete, the sacrifices that come alongside that, a lot of people don't actually realize the level of commitment, more than just training, but also everything you have to give up. And it's all based on the day that you don't even know what events are going to be potentially. You don't know who else is turning up. So you're just bringing the best athlete you can. And I think that was just a really nice summary of kind of some of our previous podcasts. But when it comes to lockdown, I think, how have you found training in lockdown? Because have you had access to kit? Obviously you've been working a lot through the virtual side of things for WIT, doing a lot of the class and stuff. So can you just touch on that a little bit?
Well, I think for that subject, it's just a really weird, like, because for me it was like it was not like everyone else, because literally I had a baby right on the peak of the lockdown. So for me it was like I went into lockdown with a mindset that I already wanted to train not to compete anymore. So not doing those many cycles, not hitting those heavy, lifts every day, not going for those crazy volumes of, handstand push-ups and butterflies. I wanted to keep moving, so then I could always, I understood that for the level that I've built through these 7 years, I don't need to lift heavy every day in order to be able to snatch my 100 kilo snatch, which has been the same for the past 4 years. And I don't need to to squat heavy every day in order to to still do well in a squatting workout or whatever. So I just realized that after Christmas break and all these things, I realized that what, I can still do the same, and I don't need to train that crazy, giving up my life for that. So I kind of had that kind of perception already, and I was training much easier. The days that I couldn't train, I wasn't stressing anymore about it. Before I would go crazy, like a lot of people do. Like if they don't train, they get, like grumpy and I didn't train today. And obviously the day you train, you feel good, but the day I wouldn't train, I wouldn't feel bad. And that was a big thing for me, a big thing. Because I'm really conscious, like the way how I look, because I'm constantly on I sell health. That's what I do. I sell fitness. So people mostly, they come to us because they want to at least look like us, the least, or live the lifestyle that we live. So that is the main kind of point to attract people in my point of view, obviously. So I always conscious about that. But the problem was not the problem. The crazy thing was that I went on the day of the lockdown. So my parents-in-law came, because Cindy was about to give birth in about 3 weeks. So as soon as the lockdown started, my life just did like this. Just flipped.
Complete 180.
It was completely changed within 24 hours. So I went from this guy, living like a normal life in your flat with your wife, going to work every day, to I always went like playing sports all the time, meeting people outside, so a normal life. to, being like at home in a really small flat with like my two parents-in-law, with City pregnant, and then scared of anything because City was pregnant, and my parents-in-law, they were quite like in the risk group because they're older and all the other complications that come with it. And then I couldn't train because in my first week, so as soon as the lockdown started, I started to feel the symptoms of corona, fever, really like bad, like my body was aching a lot. So I had to deal with all these changes as a partner, as a trainer, as a, let's say, a gym owner, with the business and everything, as an athlete or someone that trains. So all the aspects of my life were challenged to 100% challenged within 24 hours. I was feeling really bad and really stressed, and like being here confined in this small space and having to, like it was really challenging. But obviously, like I had this bless, which was my little Malu that came, and then after that, everything kind of starts to, get better, and then everything made sense. Like all that sacrifice and everything. Up to then, I hadn't trained at all. I didn't train at all for at least a month, 40 days at all. Like I didn't train. One, because the first week and 2 weeks, because then I was really bad for a week, and then I felt okay, and then I started to train, felt bad again, and then I didn't even train. I started to warm up, and then my body started to warm. No, stop there. And then I started to train again. Like I had some dumbbells at home, just some like really easy like bench, curls. I had a row machine. I did like a row, pretty easy, like twice a week. And then all of a sudden, bro, like after maybe 2 months, I had a click day where this like was a Sunday, and then I thought, like, you know what, this is not gonna change now. It's gonna carry on for a while, and I have to accept it, and I have to face it, and I have to do something about it. And there was that one day on a Sunday evening that I decided that from Monday, I would just pick my shit together and just crack on with it and just do it properly. Like if it was like the normal, the new normal, basically. And then on that day, like on Monday, I woke up already early, got my laptop, started to program, start to, create ideas and create videos and this and that. I started doing the videos. Up to then, I hadn't even posted, like I spent like maybe a month without even posting anything on my social media. And then like, it was just really like that one switch day, and then I started training, and then after that the WIT 30 came, and then I started to like train every day for WIT 30, and then my body started to pick up again, and then I started to find myself again. But really, I lost the motivation for the CrossFit thing. I was just doing like fitness, like I was just doing like deadlifts, squats, pull-ups, but not butterfly, just strict. I would do like maybe an interval on the row, just like basic stuff, not doing any workout. So I think that the first time I worked out properly was last Friday when we met. Yeah, bro. And I think just like we were talking the other day, I think priorities just changed. Now, like it's all about my family and my little daughter, and fitness really is my job. And obviously I want to use fitness so I'm fit enough to do things that I have fun with, which is playing tennis, playing football, running, playing on the park, showing off his skills. That's what we love doing, right? Like just, you see someone on a slack line, you come, oh, can I try? And then you see someone, throwing some frisbee, and then you say, oh, can I try? Because, like I just love using my body to move, to have fun with. I'm not a video game guy. I just love using my body. I love moving around. I have my skateboard, which every day it's sunny. I just get it out, and then I go around the block like a few times, and I come back home. Like always mighty, like, yeah, just like, the Christmas morning. So, yeah, I think that pretty much summary, like the whole lockdown and how I think my perception of fitness changed. And again, like, I realized that competing again, not even as a team or training at that high level, I wasn't having fun anymore. Before, I used to have fun training hard, but now training hard wasn't bringing me fun anymore. And then so I also realized that even training hard now, like as an athlete, even though I'm not going to complete, but training as an athlete also was putting me off a little bit. Yeah. So now I'm going to train for wellness, for my fitness, but not as an athlete, as you were saying before, like about the giving up things, being worried that you have to eat every 2 hours, you have to mobilize all the time, otherwise you're going to be so tight that you can move next day and all these things. So I don't need that, and that doesn't bring me any joy anymore. So I'm going to train well, I'm going to train hard, but not to a high level, to an athlete kind of level anymore.
It sounds really good that you've kind of had this transition, especially because I guess you was thrown in at the deep end where, you know, becoming a father, being told you can't actually train now, so your way of escaping a way of feeling your normality, you still have to work, you was ill, so you had a lot of pressure all at one time, but in a way that was good, because, you know, anything that comes good normally comes from a state of pressure. Yeah. Right? So then you come out of that, so you're now in your new state. Because I found, obviously, with myself, is when I become a father, and I remember coming to train like the Monday. So Chloe was born on a Saturday. I come in on Monday to train. I remember I spoke to Faisal, and he goes, "You've been in training. What are you doing? Get home." And stuff, because I was still like delusional, because I was still tired and all these things. And it just then suddenly hit me. So then when I got home, and I remember my transition into knowing my why behind training has taken so long. And I think what's quite nice with what you've discovered is you've been able to kind of do that real quick, which sounds great. And it's funny because only recently the training for wellness and stuff like that, like looking good is one thing, but also just making sure that, you know, you're fit, you're healthy, especially for your daughter, that you're staying around as long as possible for her, and all those type of positive things, like, they can take a while. And I think for me, I've always found that CrossFit has been such a well accessible thing that I can do anything. It's just opened my eyes to all fitness. And where I used to be, say, with bodybuilding, it was like just bodybuilding. Then powerlifting, just powerlifting. But when CrossFit come around, it was like, cool. I was then able to then I'll do this running workout. I do this, I do that. And I do so many different things. And where you've been doing it, I think since you were, say, 8 years old, you've had that awareness. And I think so, as if people got into fitness late, which some people do, you know, some people don't get to in their 50s or something like that. So if you don't get into it straight away, things might take a little bit longer for you. So like, I started to feel bad that I didn't know what was going on. And it's like, you know, at the start of lockdown, obviously I have my gym set up at home, and I was barely using any of it, because I was just like, I just didn't have that drive. And it wasn't until I was obviously doing a lot of housework and stuff, but I just didn't have the drive. But then obviously now come to the back of lockdown, when I think I accepted that lockdown is what it is, and we just now got to move on with it. I think I then started to have that, you know, after our podcast, I think it was episode 6, where it was all about our why. And it just made me really think about deeply what it is that I do and why I do it. And, you know, I love strength training. So it's like, don't try to be doing all the other fancy. I like stick with your strength stuff, but then I also enjoy fitness. I enjoy being fit, and I enjoy, for someone that has never been a sports person as a younger kid or anything, that I've managed to pick up most things quite quickly. I have terrible hand-eye coordination. That's why I'd be terrible at cricket, terrible at tennis. And like, I went golf the other day, and I'm just a stiff thing trying to hit a ball. It just didn't work. But I'm really, I love the passion. Yeah, the rotation not for me. So it's like, I like to just move up and down. So it's been a really good transition. I think becoming a father can definitely have a real impact in your life. And it doesn't happen straight away for some dads. And I know sometimes it takes a little while for you to essentially enjoy fatherhood. But I know for myself, Chloe's coming up to her 2nd birthday now, and I absolutely love it. It gives you a reason.
Yeah, I think it's even like, for example, like Ash, it's not even just the fatherhood and everything. I think whenever you put into a situation where you have 2 things equally big. So for example, Ash, he wants to invest in his career. So, you know, like, he just bought his apartment and everything. So it's more like, do I really need to spend that much time training, which is not going to bring me much? Or do I want to create something, work with that, and, you know, like, just do something about my life? And it can be like well, obviously kids and that is just to a higher level, and you are literally forced to make those decisions.
Exactly.
But for most of people, those decisions come as well with just situations in life, right?
Yeah.
And I think the lockdown just was that one situation that for us would have been the fatherhood. Lockdown was that situation for everyone on earth.
Yeah.
Like put everyone back down. Like now it's time for you to think about your life, see what you want to do, see what is the priority, and start looking at this shit now on the positive side and what you can make with it. I think every single person that I speak to is struggling in the beginning, felt exactly the same feeling in the beginning, every single one. Like literally, I haven't spoken to anyone that said, oh yeah, it was great. Or maybe apart from the fit guys that probably grown their business 5 times. They were loving it. Apart from them, everyone else had that same feeling, you know, like felt really bad, took a while to accept it, and then use this time to spend like more time at home, time with family, time looking inside themselves, you know, ourselves, and just really finding our purpose. And I think that nothing happens for no reason, and I think that has been amazing for, you know, my time that I have spent with my daughter that like you didn't have, you know. And I have been so lucky, blessed to have had that opportunity, which no many fathers ever gonna have that, you know what I mean? Like I have been here every single second of her first 4 months nearly, and that is amazing, and I'll always be really grateful, and I'll never forget that, and she will probably never forget that because I have so many pictures and videos now. But yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah, but I think it's just that thing. In any situation, you just got to look on the positive side, on the opportunities, and just use that to grow. And we are so like humans, like we can do so many things that sometimes we don't even know. And as soon as we are put into a situation of pressure, like you described, that's when the best of you comes out, because that's, I think, the human nature of reacting. And again, it's just time to go. And I think a lot of people made that the time to go. A lot of people just went backwards a little bit. But again, that's life, isn't it? Some people see opportunity, some others see just, you know, like bad.
It's glass half full versus half empty. It depends. You both see the same glass, but it's just how you look at it. So
yeah, no, 100%.
What's nice about your training as an analogy or metaphor for other people is like the difficult circumstances basically forced you to become clear on what you actually want, and you became aware of the trade-offs that you were making. So you're putting so much time, energy, and effort into your training, and because now your time became, you had a different demand on your time to spend with your daughter, like, is this a trade-off that's worth making? Like, why am I spending so much time training when actually there's other things in life that are more important to me? And I think that's been something that's been a positive for lockdown for a lot of people, is having that reflection on the trade-offs that they are making. It's like the way I was spending my time was reflective of priorities that actually aren't in alignment with my values and what I want out of life. And it's been a big wake-up call to say, actually, what I want out of my training is to be fit so I can play sport, to be healthy, and to look good so I promote a good health and fitness product. I don't need to train this much to be the best competitive CrossFitter that I possibly could be, because that's actually taking away from other areas of my life which are more important to me. I would rather play tennis than do the third workout of the day. And it's difficult to see that when you're in the routine of doing it all the time.
Yeah.
And now there's been a big shake up. I think a lot of people are actually looking back and thinking, maybe I'll do things differently from now on. And
it was like I used to have this thinking, like I had to be able to beat everyone that came in the gym unless they were like proper athletes. So then I had the excuse to say that they were everyone else. I had to be better than everyone else because I had to represent the gym, I had to represent the members, I had to represent the program that I write and, you know, like I sell and I pass on to my members. And I just, man, really, do I need to do that shit? No. Do I still need to prove anything to anyone? Like, I'm quite too old for that shit already. I've done enough and I've proven enough. And Like I think the best thing for me, I start to look back, and this is something important. People don't do that much. Look back and appreciate what you have achieved. And I just realized that, you know what, being like a Brazilian guy coming from nowhere, making it to this place where I am today, and, you know, like being known, and, you know, like having the opportunity to go around the world and you know, just do my thing. I think that's good enough. I don't need to still beat everyone. I think that's, and then I think I'm just happy with that now. And if anyone now challenge me like, oh, but I beat you, I said, Monstaaa, and you better beat me, because I mean, look at you, that's all you do, or you're young, no, like you have no kids to worry about. So you have to beat me. You must. If you don't, like, that would look bad on you.
I think quickly though, I think just so the listeners make sure they understand that if they ever do come up to compete against Gus, he's still not going to be a walkover, and he's still pretty much going to probably be a good chance of winning, because the thing of just understanding your body is something you don't lose. And I think that's where, I think, unless, yeah, you're probably, you know, a competitive athlete and stuff like that, I think as I said, I've used you as an example a few times, and it should be just the awareness. And I think that's something which a lot of people just don't really ever, some people never get it. And that's the thing. So it's like just that understanding water regulation, understanding who you are at that particular day, and how to change in the midst of, say, stress.
No, 100%. And I think that goes really well with that one subject that, like we mentioned about talking today, which, if you guys allow me, I can bring it up now, which is like the future of fitness, and you know, like how I see it going forward. And the reason why I wanted to bring it into the conversation now is because it goes really well with what you just said. I think the reason why fitness is doing so well recently, and it's going to be even bigger as we go forward, is because of that, because of the freedom that it gives you in order for you to do what you like and to do everything you want, in a sense that, for example, like the three of us, we are three completely different individuals, and we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different purpose on training. We all train differently, you know, like different body type, but yet we've been training together for 3 years. And we have been having the best laughs ever training together. And, you know, like we have always, like, we have improved together in our own purpose and goals, having all these things different that I just mentioned. And that is what fitness offers to people. And that's why it's so big now, I think, because people have realized that you don't need to just follow a sport, having to follow their rules, their politics, you know, like their stereotypes, that, you know, like the basic fitness and skills needed. So you don't need to just do that in order to be fit, in order to, you know, do something with your body. And I think that's why fitness has done so well recently, in the recent like 5 years and maybe 10 years since CrossFit. Well, CrossFit helped a lot of people understand that. And I think that is where I see fitness going. I see fitness growing so much from now on, because I think people want more that, feel that they can do more with their body, and they don't even need to belong to anything. You know what I mean? Like they can just move. And I don't know what you guys think about it, but I just think it as a pretty easy way to understand like how it's going from now on.
I do think lockdown gave people, like, when you started to hear about some of the, say, issues with, if, say, for instance, you have diabetes, or say if you're overweight, or all these type of, say, health issues, that you're more prone to, say, catching, say, as I said, like corona and stuff like that. So you was more prone. So I think a lot of people that, say, managed to get through lockdown, hopefully without catching anything or anything like that, this might be an opportunity for them to think, okay, cool. If I haven't been focusing on my fitness and just being healthy in general with things that I eat, things that I train, and having it as a lifestyle, then I need to make sure that I'm implementing what I can to become a better version of myself. And I think, like you said, like with CrossFit, is we often talk about how, like, CrossFit not only changed the way, say, women train, it changed the way we all train, but also it kind of brought together that whole package of eating well, training well, and focusing on things outside of the gym. And a lot of sports are focused on when you enter the gym and do your lifts, and then you leave and that's it. Whereas then CrossFit gave you this whole encompassing philosophy that said, right, cool, you need to move well, you need to eat well, but then you also need to look after yourself. You need to do this. You need to also, have a community. You have people you talk to. You need to have laughs. You need to do all these things. Yeah, it's like that whole package, which essentially is what I know, like at WIT, like, little things like when we do WIT 30, like 30 days of pretty much eating well, training hard, and stuff, and it's just focusing all that energy. And then you put it into like teams, so you get that team morale, that team's wellness, and that's what I think CrossFit brought to the fitness scene, was the community side of things. And that's where I think, as you say, taking it out of that and putting people in lockdown, where they then didn't have that community, so they had to then find energy to train, find drive to train, essentially, without everyone else around them. Could have been one of two things: either like made it make it really hard and they just never really got out of first gear, or you had others that thrived and then used like what we were doing, like with the Zoom workouts and stuff like that, doing what you were doing for the time being, because the bigger picture, you'd be able to enter the gyms again, you'd be able to have that community again, so he was having that point of contact. And I think it's just like, as a fitness industry, I fully agree. I think it's going to boom. I really do. I once we've all understood how this is all going to work, and I think once everyone's got, so basically getting into the new year, 2020 has been a bit of a write-off for some of us. It's been an absolute game changer, but for some it's been a write-off. But I think as we get into the new year, I think it's going to be some real positive changes once we've all fully understood what's coming up.
Yeah, which is quite exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd love to be part of
that. But yeah, I think that, like, even with these home trainings and everything, I do think that it will grow, but more towards the people that are really new to fitness. I think that is a really entry level for them, like really good entry level. There is no like much of those like really intimidating environments where you can just train at home without equipment or just with whatever you have at home. No one is looking at you, no one is watching you. I think that will just break the barriers that have stopped a lot of people from coming to the gym, coming to play sports or just to get into fitness. And I do think it will grow, although I do think that nothing will ever equal like the
four walls of a community built gym.
Meeting people. I think the social benefits of sports and fitness, people love being with people, and that will not change. And probably with the lockdown, it will even increase. People will realize that, actually what I most missed in the lockdown was being with people. Yeah. It wasn't going to this place, going to that place, traveling. No, it was being with people, either friends, family, just going out and seeing people, like if you're single, just going out and meeting new people. And I think that just made people realize that socializing is the biggest blast that we have in life, and be able to meet people and to make yourself important for people, like be remembered, be, like loved, and all these things is something that there's no money ever that will buy, and there's no other feeling better than that. And I think that, yes, home training will increase, and a lot of companies will make a lot of money out of it. A lot of trainers will start focusing on that, which is amazing. But I still think that gyms and studios and classes and group classes will still grow, and probably grow bigger because of that first entry level now being bigger.
Yeah.
So that would be a really nice way to get people into fitness. And then as soon as they feel like, but now I want to make sure that someone is watching me to see if I'm moving well. I can move, but am I moving good? Am I moving enough? Am I moving well? Am I doing the right thing? And then people then start questioning themselves, and then they'll be less afraid to seek for help and to go and attend to classes and see people, which then will just guide people to, like, if they wanted something more, they come to WIT. If they want something a bit more relaxed, they go to another place, to a yoga studio, so. But the most important thing is that now I think fitness will grow. And as you were saying before about the lifestyle, everyone is now more aware that being healthier and more active is going to make you harder to be killed.
Yeah.
And, if you want to live longer and better, you have to be fit. And now this virus has proven that. Mm-hmm. So that is the motivation to start. The home workouts is the way to start. and then after that they'll just kind of go into the the gyms that better fit their social style or whatever they're looking for. But yeah, I'm really excited for next year because of that, because I think next year or whenever this whole lockdown comes down, the whole thing is going to boom, it's going to go crazy. People are going to go mad, like and all the industry around it, like all the food companies, the supplement companies, all the apparel companies, trainers, and everything that is around fitness and sports and everything like this, wellness and active lifestyle, will just grow with it. And I'm really happy and excited to be part of that in many different ways, actually. Yeah.
Very exciting. We're running out of time. I don't want to take up too much of your precious time, mate. So we're going to finish up with a few quick fire questions. No trick ones, but just to get some good sound bites, maybe. My season will start. What is your favorite movement or workout?
My favorite, bro, it used to be clean, but now it's his snatch. I love his snatch now. Yeah. I love snatch, and anything with his snatches, I like it.
Everyone get on board with that. Do you have a favorite training or sporting moment, like a big win or nailing a lift under pressure?
Well, I can say that live that I have beaten Matt Fraser once, and I quite like that moment. Which was back in Brazil when I first met him. He came down for like a Nike event, and we did a death by burpees and shuttle run. It was on the year that he won. Back then he wasn't as lean and as he is now, but he was really good already. He was a Matt Fraser, right, guys? So I did beat.
You beat him at shuttle runs.
And I did beat
and I beat you at shuttle runs. Does that mean I beat Matt Fraser at shuttle runs?
It's got me in a bad day, bro. You just got.
All right. Next one is the best training tip you've ever received.
Whoa, that's a hard one. Because probably I have received it and I didn't listen to it. If I remember, I have probably been told that quite a few times, which is like, take it easy, be patient, like don't try to go too hard. I'm pretty sure that I have heard that a few times, but I just never listened to that, and that's why I got quite a few injuries along the way. But yeah, I think that's a good tip that I'm sure that I have heard that before, and I would give it definitely to people now. Just take it easy.
Yeah. Well, kind of similar to that, last one is, if you could speak to yourself 10 years ago, what advice would you give yourself as a young...
Around that.
Yes.
Treat your body if you were 20 years older. Like warm up more, cool down more, do all your mobility. And I'll definitely have done something different. Because you know what, very quickly, like you guys mentioned about what is to describe the best athlete. I think you guys had a podcast like that. And in my opinion, the best athlete is the one not injured. And because if you are the best athlete but you're injured, then you're not the best athlete anymore, or if you're ill. So that comes to it when it comes to sports, and that is around all my tips that I give to athletes nowadays is around that kind of line of thinking. Like, just make sure you eat well, sleep well, get your immune system good, do all your mobility, warm up, cool down, do everything that will prevent you from injury. If you have to take it easy on the training because that will make you not injured, do that. And I use that as Ash as an example, like the way how he's been training and he, like compared to us, he does like 1/5 of what we do. And he's always consistent. He's never injured. He now looks better than everyone else. Yeah. And he just beat me for the first time ever, which is really.
That's him running.
I like to get really worried now. He looks good. He's fit. He moves well, and he's been doing 1/5 of what I've been doing. And that must tell us something about what we've just been discussing now, and we have to listen to that and use that as a really good example and just try and follow that as well.
Thanks, bro. It means a lot. Got this soundbite for this episode.
Let's finish on the high.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Anything else to add, Rob? I think
that was nicely finished off there, mate. Really well done.
Thanks very much for your time, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks a lot for coming on.
And see you at the gym very shortly.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully next week.
That's it. You gonna go? No.
Yeah.
Go.
To the usual spiel at the end. Well, as always, not that anyone that follows us doesn't follow you, Gus, but if for some reason they don't, what is your Instagram handle?
Gus.witfitness. Please.
Beautiful.
Yeah, a little check. If you like, just follow me.
So that's not sure, I'm pretty sure that everyone follows you anyway, but just in case you don't, that's his Instagram handle. As always, if you like this episode, please share it with others, help us grow. It's been really working well recently. We've been growing quite well week on week. It's really good to see. So I guess obviously we're doing something a little bit right. But as always, please, if you can, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It does, again, that helps us work up the charts. And yeah, I think that's about it. So thanks a lot, Gus, again for coming on. Really appreciate your time. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
100%. Bye-bye, guys. Thanks for the opportunity. And I'll see you guys soon.